أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل أنشجوا فانشجوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected attendees, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The ayah I've just recited is from the Surah Al-Mujadila, verse number 11. It relates to my talk. I'll just go through the meaning. The meaning is, O you who believe, when it is said to you, make room in your assemblies, then make ample room. Ample room meaning more room. Allah will give you ample, I mean Allah will make room for you, inshallah. And when it is said, rise up, and then rise up. Allah will exalt those of you who believe, and those who are given knowledge in high degree. And Allah is aware of what you do. Jazakallah khair. I'll just get to my main topic because we really have short time. I'm just going to start with one of the hadith narrated by Abu Musa radiallahu ta'ala anhu, reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the guidance and knowledge with which Allah has sent me are like abundant rain which fall on a land. A fertile part of it absorbed the water and brought forth profuse herbage and pasture, and the solid ground patches which retain the water by which Allah has benefited people who drink from it, irrigate their crops and sow their seeds. And another sandy plain which could neither retain the water nor produce herbage. Such is the similitude of the person who becomes well versed in the religion of Allah and receives benefit from the message entrusted to me by Allah. So he himself has learned and taught to others. Such is also the similitude of the person who has stubbornly and ignorantly rejected Allah's guidance with which I have been sent. So basically from this hadith, we get to learn three kind of people in this dunya. One who, the people that actually gain the knowledge, who's passed on to the Prophet ﷺ through the hadith and the Quran, and they abide by it, they follow it, and they pass on the message to benefit people and to benefit himself. That's the first pair of people, the people who are probably the highest degree in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. And the second part is the people, it's similar to the first one, who actually get the knowledge, read the Quran, hadith, but the problem is they don't follow the hadith. They don't maintain it, as the first category of people. So these people will still get the reward, but they'll have to be punished for their omissions, meaning what not been fulfilled by what they know already. And the third people are the people who are ignorant. They're Muslims, but they're ignorant. What they do, they wouldn't bother. It's like it's there for them, but they wouldn't take it. They wouldn't want to read. But occasionally, if they're in need of something, they will just consult a mullah, an imam, and say, look, I'm in trouble, so-and-so, I need your help. And that's how much guidance they get. But they do not benefit from that because they didn't get that knowledge through striving, which they didn't get it for the purpose of helping himself and to help others. They only got the help for that moment, so it could help him only. So these kind of people are the worst of people in the front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first two categories are the best, so where you gain the knowledge and you pass on the knowledge. Second people, you gain the knowledge, but you don't fulfill it, but you still get reward for it. Right. And there's a hadith where it's narrated in Tirmidhi 74. Seeking knowledge is obligatory to all the Muslim, male or female. If truly a Muslim knew how important it was to gain knowledge, they would have strived harder than anything in the world they strive for. Because it changes him, it changes his family, It changes his friends, his relatives, his neighbors, his community, and it goes on. But it starts with himself. Any human being that gains any kind of, it doesn't have to be just religious. If you take an example, any field you go, without your knowledge, you cannot go any further. You will stuck where you are. Otherwise, you're trying to find a route to get somewhere, you'll have to ask people, unless you got a map and you know how to read the map will lead you to it, if you know how to read the map, inshallah. There's another hadith that I'm going to narrate. Once Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, may Allah be pleased with him, gave a sermon in which he said, I heard Allah's messenger saying, if Allah wants to do good to a person, he makes him very knowledgeable in the deen, related in Bukhari and Muslim. The reason the knowledge is good, what it does, it generates actions that are based on the basis of the Quran and Sunnah. Because otherwise, if you follow a religion, you need to know what is asked of you. If you follow it, you need to read it. If you do not read it, you'll do whatever you like. Yeah? So it is important for you to understand what your religion is asking of you to do. So basically, if you're a Muslim, you need to know that you need to do the Quran to guide you the way you really want to go. Otherwise, you'll go every which way you feel like, but you don't know where your destination is. And there's another hadith. I will just finish it with this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ used to stimulate his companions to seek knowledge. He used to tell them, yeah? He used to tell them to read, and he used to tell them to practice. He used to tell them to pass it on. Ibn Masud relates that the Prophet ﷺ said, only two persons are worthy of being envied, a person upon whom Allah bestows riches and give him the power to spend it in the righteous cause, and the person upon whom Allah bestows wisdom by which he judges and which he teaches. It's basically, Allah is saying here is about the knowledge. So basically, it's two types of people. One's the people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them the wealth, where he spends it in the right way. The poor, helps every way which they can. He doesn't count for it. He just like, look, Allah giving it to me, I'm giving it the way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second most important one is the person who gains knowledge and he passes on to the next person. He used to congratulate the companions whenever they issued a right judgment or correctly answered a question. Imam Muslim narrates that once the Prophet asked Ubayy ibn Ka'b, do you know which verse in Allah's book is the greatest? Ubayy answered, by reciting Ayatul Kursi, the verse of the throne, Al-Baqarah, verse number 255. The messenger kindly patted on his chest, saying, congratulations, Abu Muntir, for this knowledge. He used to call upon Allah to grant them the correct knowledge and understanding of this deen. Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated, once the Prophet embraced me and said, O Allah, bestow upon him the knowledge of the book. Book meaning the Quran, related in the Bukhari. He ordained all his companions and every Muslim who possesses knowledge, even as little as one verse, to disseminate. Disseminate means to pass it on, what they know to others. He said, convey what you learn from me, even if you only know one verse, related in Bukhari and Muslim. And the Prophet ﷺ always used to make dua for the companions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases them in the knowledge of the deen, and so they can pass it on, which is a similar thing. The reason we're gathered here today is to sit here and listen to the sheikhs who will be coming here, giving their talk. So inshallah, when we leave from this platform, we will take some knowledge back and we will try to practice it ourselves, implement in our families, in our societies, and try to make changes as much as we can, inshallah ta'ala. My minute is over, so jazakumullahu khair. If I have said anything wrong, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me, and everything's said right, then Allah reward us all, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم ارزقنا إخلاصا في القول والعمل اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق وأعمالنا من الرياء وألسنة من الكذب وأعيننا من الخيانة فإنك أنت تعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, I'm going to try this again. And the reason being, and I mentioned this in a previous nasiha as well in another place. You see, us as Muslims, we have something, a very simple thing, very small thing, which is the salam. This salam, no other religion or no other type of people, they don't have this. And if we were to meet someone in any place, in any country or in any part of the world, we could, if we recognize they're Muslims, we don't have to, maybe we don't speak their language, but we will give salam and they'll reply back if we gave the salam. And even more beautiful than that is that this salam, it will be used on the day in Jannah, when the angels will be greeting us. When we enter into Jannah, the angels will be greeting us with salam. So this is actually a greeting of Jannah. Okay, so we should feel like this, proud like this. So when I give you a salam, you should reply back with enthusiasm, inshallah, yeah? Okay, so we try again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khairan. Alhamdulillah, I'm so glad that we're gathered here today, and actually it is only by the will and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're gathered here today. And as the uncle mentioned the topic that I was given about brotherhood in Islam. Before I go into the topic, I want to mention a story by, this happened at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was a Sahaba, his name was Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu. And he used to recite the Quran very well. He was known amongst the Sahaba as a Sahaba who used to recite the Quran very proficiently. And imagine the Quran was revealed upon who? Who was the Quran revealed upon? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through Jibreel. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was the person who used to recite the Quran the best. His recitation of the Quran was the most amazing. And people would hear his recitation of the Quran and they would enter into Islam, they would accept Islam. But sometimes, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to recite the Quran, he used to lead the Sahaba in the prayer, in the Salah. But sometimes the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to like to go and listen to the recitation of his companions, the ones who recite Quran well. So one day, the Prophet ﷺ, he decided to go to the house of Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu. And he went and he knocked on the door. When he knocked on the door, Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, he opened the door, and at his doorstep is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now I want you to all imagine that you open your door, someone knocked on your door, and you open the door, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is at your doorstep. How will you feel? Okay, imagine your feeling inside. How would you feel? This Sahaba, they loved the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine the Sahaba, they loved the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam so much. When he would make wudu, they would try to catch the water. So imagine that the Prophet ﷺ came to their house. Okay? When the Prophet ﷺ did hijrah from Mecca to Medina, the Sahaba, they wanted who could take the Prophet ﷺ to their house. This was their wish, that Prophet ﷺ come and stay in my house and be a guest in my house. So Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, he opened his door and Prophet ﷺ is there. And he became very excited, very happy. he welcomed the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Ahlan wa sahlan. He welcomed the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ went inside and he sat down the Prophet ﷺ. And then the Prophet ﷺ said to Ubay ibn Ka'b, Ya Ubay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked me to come to listen to your recitation of the Quran. Okay? Now, again, I want you to imagine if the Prophet ﷺ came to your doorstep and then he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me to come and listen to your recitation of the Quran. How would you feel? What would be your reaction? Now, some of us, we might think, okay, Prophet ﷺ asked me to recite, that's a very good honor, and then you just say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and you start reciting. But the Sahaba, they were very clever, mashallah. They used to follow every word that the Prophet ﷺ would say, very closely. They used to study every word that he was saying. The Sahaba, he said to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulallah, did Allah mention, did Allah tell you, did He mention my name and say to you, go to the house of Ubay ibn Ka'b and listen to his recitation? He wanted to know, did Allah mention his name? That's what he wants to know. Allah is the creator of the universe. Did Allah mention my name? Imagine on TV, someone famous comes and they say your name, like Muhammad Ali or some boxer or some footballer. They come, and these young brothers, you look up to these football players, okay, and sisters might look up to someone else. And these people, they come on TV and imagine they mentioned your name, okay, like Tahmid or Abdullah or some other name. And they said, mashallah, I know this person and they're a really good boy or a really good girl. Yeah? And I've been to their house and all of this stuff. How would they feel? They'll be so excited. Now Ubay ibn Ka'b, he wanted to know from the Prophet ﷺ, did Allah mention my name to you? And Prophet ﷺ said, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned your name specifically. Subhanallah. And then tears started to fall from the eyes of Ubay ibn Ka'b out of excitement that Allah mentioned his name. Now, if I was to ask you all, okay, Prophet ﷺ is not alive here today to come and knock on our door and to listen to our recitation. But how can we get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mention our names? It's very easy. Very easy. Allah made it so easy for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Surah Baqarah, He says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, if you remember me, I will remember you. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Here now, today, we're all remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, we're remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Insha'Allah, it's in my belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the angels, and He's mentioning each and every single one of our names to the angels, to the best of the angels. So for this we should say Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khairan. Now, brotherhood. Sisterhood, brotherhood, both. We got brothers and sisters, okay? It means the same thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. In Surah Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, the believers are but brothers, so make settlement between your brothers and fear Allah that you may have mercy. Subhanallah, look, we are gathered here today. Many of us, we don't know each other. But because of our Iman, because of our Islam, because of our faith, we are gathered here. When we go to Hajj, alhamdulillah, last year Allah enabled me to go to Hajj, first time. When you see the amount of people in Hajj, and you see, you don't know them, you don't recognize them, you never seen them in your life, but they'll sleep next to you. They'll be next to you in Muzdalifah, in Arafah, in different places. They're making dua next to you. They're giving you water. They're giving you food. They're helping you. You're helping them. You're giving salam to them. They're giving salam to you. Such a beautiful feeling you get when you do tawaf together amongst everyone, all the Muslims around the world. This brotherhood, no other religion enjoys this brotherhood like we do. The Prophet ﷺ, look at the Sahaba. There are Sahaba like Salman al-Farisi radiallahu anhu. He was a Persian. He was amongst the Sahaba. Bilal radiallahu anhu. He was an Ethiopian. He was amongst the Sahaba. Okay? There were Sahabas who were from Rome. Okay? Who were like what we would say English today. He would have like blonde hair. And he was amongst the Sahaba. So this is the brotherhood that we are united upon. It doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a nationality, it doesn't have a color. Whatever shape, whatever size, whatever look, whatever color, whatever race, we're all united together. In the life of the Prophet ﷺ, there are many examples of the Sahaba, how they would sacrifice for each other, how they would love each other, the brotherhood that was bonded between them in that small community that they formed in Medina. And then later on that expanded. Just to give you an example, you know many stories. I'm sure you are aware of many stories. But one of the famous stories are when the Muhajirun went to Medina, when they traveled and they did hijrah. The Sahaba went, they migrated from Mecca to Medina, and how the people of Medina, the Sahaba in Medina, how they received them. People were willing to give their wealth, half of their wealth. They said, take half of my wealth. Let my brother have half of my wealth. They gave up anything that they possessed. They gave them place in their homes to live. And they preferred their brother. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. They used to prefer their brother over themselves. Well, so when they used to think about food, they would think about their brother before themselves. When they think about clothes, they think about their brother before themselves. Imagine if we were in a society where we had real brotherhood, real sisterhood, real iman. We wouldn't have the problems we are having today. Because we would prefer our brother over ourselves. So why should there be problems? Now, another thing I want to point to you is, and this is for the young people, for everyone. Brotherhood and friends. Brotherhood, good company, bad company. All of us have friends. Many of us at school, college, university, we have friends. We formulated different kinds of friends. What's the difference between the friends you have at school, college, university, at your workplace, friends in your local area, and the brother you have in the deen, brother you have in Islam? There is a difference. The brother you have in Islam, he is your brother or your sister in this life and in the next life. Whereas the friends you have, they may only be your friends in this life and for a temporary reason, for a temporary gain. On the Day of Judgment, I want to create to you a scene in your mind. Imagine how it will be on the Day of Judgment. This came in a hadith in Bukhari. The Prophet ﷺ, he was describing the scene on the Day of Judgment. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will appear and there will be a bridge. There will be a slippery bridge that will come. And on that bridge, everyone has to cross that bridge. Okay, cross that sirat. Everyone has to cross it. And on that bridge, there will be some clamps or some hooks that will be trying to catch people. Beneath that bridge, is Jahannam, is the hellfire. And these hooks will be trying to catch the people and take them into hellfire. So imagine that scenario. Some people, they will be going past that bridge like the blink of an eye. Some people like lightning. Some people will go like on a fast horse or like a fast car. They'll be, going fast. Some people will be running. Some people will be walking. Some people will be crawling. After this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will, when the last person crosses the bridge, and people will be in that situation, some people will fall into the hellfire, some people will go. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will call the Muslims, those who used to have good brothers, but their brothers are in the hellfire. Okay? So imagine you're in that situation and you can see some people in the hellfire. They've fallen down. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will say, who here has a brother in the fire, who has fallen in the fire? If he wants to, he can intercede and he can bring that person out. Subhanallah. That person, he will go and Allah will allow him. Look at the privilege. Allah will allow him to go and pick his friend, his brother, who is fallen in the fire, will allow him to pick his brother and bring him out of the fire. Now you ask yourself, the friends I have, will they help me on the day of judgment? Ask yourself, think about the friends you have, the brothers you have, the people who you hang around with. What kind of brothers are they? Do they remind you about Allah? Do they remind you about the hereafter? Will these brothers or sisters, will they be one of those people who will be able to help you in that situation? Or will they not be able to help themselves? Many people will be in that situation where they won't be able to help themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الأخلاء يومئذ بعضهم لبعض عدو إلا المتقين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, close friends, you're a close friend, he's your best friend, he's your buddy. That close friend that you have on the day of judgment, they will be enemies to each other. They'll not be friends on the day of judgment. Only in this life they're close friends, but in the hereafter they'll be enemies. Except for al-muttaqun, except for those who fear Allah, except for the believers. They will be friends here and they'll be friends in the hereafter. They'll be close friends here and they'll be close friends in the hereafter. Prophet ﷺ, he said, you'll be resurrected with whom you love. So if you have good friends, they pray, they remember Allah, they practice Islam, then, and you love them and you stay with them, then on the day of judgment, you'll be resurrected with them. But if you have friends who commit sins, who are far away from Allah, they don't remind you about Allah. In fact, they stop you from going and praying. Just the other day, a brother was telling me that when he wants to go to pray at school, okay, a young brother told me, about 14 or 13, he said when he wants to go and pray at school, his friends stop him, or they say, don't worry, you'll pray later, or don't worry about it. Okay? So friends, they can discourage you from worshipping Allah, from praying, from being a good Muslim. Now, we have to think what kind of friends we have. We have to analyze what friends we have around us. Will they help us? There's a nice story. Umar radiallahu anhu, one day, the Prophet ﷺ and Umar radiallahu anhu, they were both walking. Okay? They went for a walk. And in the hadith it came, the Prophet ﷺ and Umar radiallahu anhu, they were both holding each other's hands. Okay, like this. And they kind of interlocked their hands together. And they were walking. And then Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he asked Umar radiallahu anhu, he asked him, he said, Ya Umar, do you love me? Do you love me, Muhammad ﷺ, do you love me more than yourself and your family and your wealth and everything? So Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, and remember, if Prophet ﷺ was to ask any of us, do you love me more than yourself and your family and everyone? We will all say, yes, of course, Ya Rasulullah. Of course. We love you more than our family, everyone. But Umar radiallahu anhu, he's not like us. He's very honest, very sincere. If inside his heart he finds it's not true, he will say no. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I love you more than my family, more than my wealth, but myself, not yet. Okay, so he was very honest. He didn't lie. Just because it's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, sometimes what we do, because if our parents tell us something, we just agree with them. If a teacher says something, we just agree with them, just to make them happy. Umar radiallahu anhu, he was not like that. He never lied. He would speak the truth. Whatever is in his heart, he will say it. Even if it's wrong, he'll say it. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, I love you more than my family and my wealth, but myself, no. So he said to Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, then you've not attained true iman yet. You've not got strong iman yet. So Umar radiallahu anhu, what he said was, he went for a walk. Okay, he was walking on his own, just thinking. And he thought to himself, you know what he thought to himself? He said, he asked himself, on the day of judgment, when the sun will be above your head, when situations will be very dire, when there'll be the Jahannam will be right next to you, when all of these things, the adhab and the angels and Allah and everything will be there, who do I need the most at that time? He said, I need Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, then he came back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah, now I love you more than myself, because I need you on the day of judgment. So you think we need to love Allah. Do we love Allah more than ourselves? We need to ask ourselves that question. Do we love the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam more than ourselves? Now love doesn't mean just you say love and that's it. No, love means if you love Allah, you have to obey His commands. You have to obey whatever He tells you. If you truly love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to follow his example. You have to obey whatever he told you, whatever he commanded you. And then you can only wish and you can only hope that in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the prophets and the Sahaba and the people who are righteous, they will intercede for you on the day of judgment. If you love Allah, you have to obey His commands. You have to obey whatever He tells you. If you truly love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to follow his example. You have to obey whatever he told you, whatever he commanded you. And then you can only wish and you can only hope that in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the prophets and the Sahaba and the people who are righteous, they will intercede for you on the day of judgment. On the day of judgment, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in Surah Abasa, that day, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, a man will run away from his brother. وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ, he'll run away from his own mom and dad. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, even his wife, a wife will run away from the husband. A husband will run away from the wife. And children will be running away from their parents, and the parents will be running away from their children. People will be coming and begging each other for help, but everyone will be thinking about themselves and running away. A son will come to the parent and will say, "Oh my father, I'm stuck, I'm in trouble, give me one of your good deeds." And the parents will say, "Who are you? I don't know you." That day when the parents will come to their children and say, "Oh my son, I looked after you, I brought you up, I did everything for you. I'm stuck, I'm in trouble, give me one of your good deeds." And the son will say, "Who are you? I don't know you." The daughter will say, "Who are you? I don't know you." And they will run away. That will be the situation on that day. But only one type of people will be enjoying on that day. They will be under the shade of Allah's throne. They will be on the good side. There will be a good side and there will be a bad side. There will be the side of the believers and there will be the side of the disbelievers. And on the good side, it will be those who you loved. If you loved the Prophet ﷺ, you'll be with him. If you loved the Sahaba, you'll be with them. If you loved the good people, you'll be with them. But if you loved and you emulated those who cursed Allah, those who disobeyed Allah, those who didn't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who did all kinds of sins, you looked up to them and you emulated them. On that day, you will say, you will come to them for help, and they will say, "We won't be able to help you." That day, even shaitan, he won't be able to help you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, "يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in Surah Furqan, verse 28, that day people will say, they will regret, they'll say, "Oh, woe unto me." They'll regret, "Woe unto me, I regret it. I wish I didn't take that person as a friend. I wish that person, I didn't follow that person. I wish I didn't listen to that person. I wish I stayed away from that person. He led me away from the remembrance after it had come to me." When the Quran came, the ayat came, Allah revealed his verses. This person took me away from that. This person led me away from that. He will regret. And then Allah says, وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِلْإِنسَانِ خَذُولًا. That day even shaitan will run away from you. That person who gave us all these whisperings and all these waswasa, that day even shaitan will say, "I am free from you. I can't help you. I'm worried about my own self." And shaitan will run away. I don't have long left. I think about 5 minutes, inshallah. I'll try to wrap up here. Now I want you to think, what's the lesson from here? We learn from this that the people who we should value, the people who matter to us, are our brothers in Islam. When you're in a brotherhood, when you're together, or in a sisterhood, then you find shaitan finds it difficult to come and attack you. Shaitan finds it a difficult path. There's no path to enter to distract you. That brotherhood protects you. So we need to relook who are the brothers that really matter to us. Like Umar radiallahu anhu, he went and he thought, who do I need on the Day of Judgment? I need Allah, I need the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I need the believers. So they're the ones who matter to me, not my friends, not these people, not myself even. Even myself, I won't be able to do anything. Finally, I want to end here, inshallah, and I want you to all remember our life is very short. the young people here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with your youth. But think about it. Look, now I'm 28. That's my age now. I can see myself slowly, day by day, I'm getting older and older. No one here is getting younger. Everyone is getting older. And every single day we have reminders. People are passing away. Only in the last few months in London, there was a young brother who was 26 years old. 26 years old brother. He went to sleep and he didn't wake up from his sleep. 26 years old. Very young age. Another brother, 17 years old. He had cancer and he passed away. One of my brother-in-laws recently, just after Ramadan, he passed away. And he was only 27. He was younger than me. Now, we have no guarantee about our life. The problem with us is we don't, in our minds, we don't think, we don't believe in the hereafter as we should believe it. This life here, the life we have here in this world, the hereafter is more real than this life. This life is actually a deception. It's not real. It's not everything here, it will never last. It will finish one day. But the hereafter is more real. It's actually, that is the truth. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He named the Day of Judgment, one of the names is Al-Haqqah, the reality. The Al-Haqqah, the Day of Judgment, that is the real life. That is the reality. Whereas this life, إِنَّمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. This life is actually the deception. But we've done it the other way around. We've made the hereafter a deception, a fairy tale, not true, a story. And we've made this life our reality. And that's why when the time of death comes, we are not ready. I'll end with this verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ وَإِنَّمَا تُوَفَّوْنَ أُجُورَكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul shall taste death. And you will be given, whatever you did, you will receive the exact reward on the Day of Judgment. If you did good, you'll get good. If you did bad, you'll get bad. And who will be the successful one on the Day of Judgment? فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةِ فَقَدْ فَازَ. The one who was able to protect himself, save himself from the hellfire and enter into Jannah, he will be the successful one. Then Allah finishes off, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. What is this life except enjoyment and delusion, deception? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all on the straight path. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our iman and our brotherhood. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like He united us here today on the Day of Judgment, He unites us together over there. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite us with the prophets and the sahaba and the shuhada and the salihin and the righteous people on the Day of Judgment. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the fire of hell. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.